What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about something that was a mistake that I made that I don't want you guys to make. Do not make the same mistake I did. Now, this may vary from camera to camera. I'm not entirely sure. It may vary from brand to brand on cameras. I really don't know, but this is a setting that you need to look out for when it comes to shooting pictures of birds of prey or anything like that, because it can cost you in the detail in the image, and it can cost you in the long run in terms of images in general, and also being able to edit them efficiently. Now, personally, I always shoot raw. That's my go-to mode. As you can see right now, if I go to my camera, this is the way it's normally set up. It's normally set up raw mode to record to multiple cards. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things out the camera, which are the cards that I'm using. So one of the cards is this CF Express card, which is 32 gigs, and the other one is actually a SanDisk Extreme Pro, 200 megabytes a second read and writes, but 128 gig. So the difference there, obviously, is that one card is much bigger than the other in terms of size, not only physically but actual memory on the card itself, and the SD card is actually much bigger than the CF Express card. However, the CF Express card is also a little bit slower, only by about 40 megabytes a second or something like that. It doesn't affect it too much in the camera. I've not really found it a problem. However, that's not the mistake I made. The mistake I made is this, exactly what I'm going to show you right now. So, recording function or card selection. If I change it to standard auto switch card or leave it on record to multiple, you will note that the mode or file type that is chosen is raw. However, if I click record separately, immediately you can see that has changed. It's no longer in raw mode, it's now shooting JPEG. So I thought, well, that's a bit weird, but what I will do is I will go into the settings and I will click record separately. I will then click the camera shutter and take a couple of pictures. Notice how right in the corner there it says raw, and now it's gone off. It's in raw mode. Cool. I can now reset my camera and I can now go back to default, or I can let the camera sit on my lap. It'll then disable itself and turn itself off in battery saving mode. However, you turn it back on and you wake it up from battery saving mode and it's changed back to JPEG mode. I had no idea that that was going to be a thing. I had no idea that that was going to change the actual recorded format or the format of the images. Now, the reason I wanted to record separately is because the CF Express card is the only place that this camera will record video to, and I've only got a 32 gig card, so if I'm taking pictures and video, that card's going to get pretty full pretty quick. And if I'm using the SD card, then I can just take pictures all day long because it's 128 gig, it's not going to matter. But I didn't realise that it was going to change my mode or my file format from RAW to JPEG automatically. I had no idea that was going to be the case. Very, very frustrating, because all I wanted to do was make sure that my images were being recorded to the camera and that to the SD card, and that my video was being recorded to the CF Express. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't do much video because obviously with the DSLR, shooting with a lens like the Sigma 150-600, you can't really do much with the DSLR because obviously you've only got this screen to go off. Unlike the mirrorless, where you can actually look through the digital viewfinder and see what's going on. Little bit of a downside to a DSLR though, but that's not the point. The point is the mode and the settings of the camera screwed me over, because as soon as I click record separately, it changed to JPEG mode, and I was none the wiser that it was keeping defaulting back to JPEG. So I opened my camera, we went to Martin Mere, and I took all of these images. Now, as you can see, there's 2 folders here, but there is 737 pictures in this folder. So all of these pictures are all in JPEG mode. Now, some of them, don't get me wrong, came out alright. Some of them, had I had a little bit more room to play with, may have come out even better. And I will show you one of those images now. Like this, may have come out better had I had JPEG mode, or JPEG not enabled. If I'd have had RAW files enabled, because the amount more detail that RAW files take, I would have been able to take that file and take that photo and obviously have the RAW file and process it and go through the editing process to make it perfect to how I want it to look. Now, obviously, there is some heat hairs in this image. There is some heat hairs in some of these images, which meant that it wasn't quite perfect. As you can see by this image, in JPEG mode, there's nothing wrong with this, really. I zoom it in a little bit, it loses a bit of detail, but we're already at 146% or over 100% before it starts to really be noticeable in a way. So, this here on the screen, as you can see, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to get these 2 images up. Now, on the left, this was a different day, this was a different place. I was in the Lake District, we saw these buzzards, there was about 6 circling. On the left, you can see the RAW file. On the right hand side, you can see the actual edit, the finalized image. Look how much better that looks. Now, obviously, when it comes to the actual size of these files, if I go to 6, 7, 10, you can look at the RAW file, and it's 23.4 megabytes, according to down here. 23.4 megabytes. If we have a look at the ones from Martin Mere that were all shot in JPEG mode, I just look at this cormorant one, 4.5 meg. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a very dark image, that one. But if I look at one of the other images, which is this one of the squirrel, it came out pretty good. I've not edited it or anything. This is straight out of the camera. That's how it came out. But look at the file size. Again, 10.2 meg. If you're looking at the file size, you then realize that the RAW images have about twice the data, or even more, in terms of versus JPEG. Meaning that you can play with that image more, you can edit that image more, you can do a lot more with that image before you lose a lot of quality out of it. So, in my opinion, the best thing to actually do is to shoot in RAW mode at all times. Because what that means is that, I mean, you can shoot in RAW plus JPEG if you want, that's something that is an option. But between the two, I would always go for RAW mode, because you're going to get more details, more highlights, more shadows, more detail and more quality out of that image. Whereas when it comes to the JPEG, the camera's already kind of done that part of it for you a little bit, to the point where your image is pretty much already edited out the camera. So you've got this already processed version that Canon's software and technology has basically gone, this is how the image should look, instead of you being able to put your personal taste to it, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. It does speed up the workflow sometimes. However, for me, it made the workflow even longer, because I was trying to correct the imperfections and correct the problems that it was creating via it being a JPEG. Had it been a RAW file, it would have been much more easy to edit those imperfections and get the image right in the way that I wanted it to be. Now, some of those images that I've shown are the Marsh Harriers and different things like that were not going to come out anyway, even in RAW mode, I don't think, because of heat hairs and other factors. However, there is definitely a big difference between RAW and JPEG, and for me personally, the difference between them means that shooting JPEG just isn't really an option if I want to produce the best quality images that I can. So if you guys have ever had an experience like this, you've ever changed the mode and had it change from RAW to JPEG automatically and it screwed you over, or whatever your experience, let me know in the comments down below. Hit a like on this video and don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe. So yeah, hopefully you guys don't make the same mistake that I did, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.